Welcome to Nick on the Mic. I'm your host, Nick, and always with me is my co-host, Sergio Trades. Gio, I know it's been a while, but how you been doing?
Pretty good, Nick. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it has been a little bit since we made the video, as we've been talked about in previous videos, specifically our past, that we haven't actually been making a lot of videos because there hasn't been any big news on AMC specifically that we kind of want to hype you guys up about. But for this video, we actually have some great news. As you can see on the screen, we have some good fundamental news as well as our technical breakdown of why we think AMC is such a big move for this week. But yeah, ultimately, we'll just go straight into the video. As you can see on the screen, Adam Aaron posted this on July 5th. Many of you have suggested we show live sports, esports, and events. We are on it. On Saturday, June 10th, live from Las Vegas, the Poirier-McGregor UFC matchup will be on AMC's big screen at 95 US AMC theaters. Tickets only $25 versus the $70 on pay-per-view. Now, this is huge because, the beginning of this squeeze, the number one most hated and talked about thing of why AMC is not a very good investment strategy is because of the fundamentals behind it. And I think only this makes AMC just so much stronger as like a revenue driven business because, they're finding new ways to find revenue. I know they've been on top of the movie theater and movies, displaying new movies as battling Cinemark and such like that. But now they're getting into sporting events, specifically pay-per-view events like this UFC. And I think it's a great opportunity. Gio, you can elaborate more on this about what this possibly could do. But if we do see a very, very good weekend for AMC and revenue, a lot of people showing up, I think this could be a shape of a new way of AMC being stronger as a company. Won't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing in the sports arena into a movie theater. That's something we actually talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Me and your brother, and I think you were part of the conversation too. But it just adds more value not only to AMC but to sports. Being able to watch a huge sporting event like that, on the big screen, and then potentially maybe even the NBA Finals. It's going to bring a lot of more customers to AMC theaters all over the country and probably possibly even the world.
Yeah, I would agree. Pretty much that old style of the fundamentals, like breathing in revenue. They did it, they're finding ways. And I think also, I think this could possibly be, those the money that they did get on those couple of those share offerings, and there's a lot of people have been skeptic about dilution and what are they doing specifically with the money. I think this is good because this is a very expensive play to have 95 theaters having this event. I don't know, Gio, if you know specifics, but I used to work at B Dubs, and just having the event at B Dubs is to each, I think it was each screen is like $10,000. So Adam Aaron is finding ways to move the money into a good view on the retail investor side, because we were kind of I was me specifically, I don't know about you, Gio, but specifically I was kind of worried about if Adam Aaron was kind of on our side, and this is a good sign. I think he is trying to listen to the customer, listen to the retail investor, and trying to make us happy. Don't you think?
Yeah, he's beginning to obviously listen to his shareholders because he understands he works for us as
Yeah.
much as it seems like it doesn't. It's not true, but we are the shareholders of the company, and although he is the CEO and owns the majority of the shares, he at the end of the day he does need to listen to our input and what we have to say. So that's partly why back in the past he's pushed back not just the shareholder meeting, but also with more dilution with AMC shares.
Yeah.
He promised all shareholders not until 2022 they're not going to issue any more shares, which is great for us. But at the end of the day, if AMC shareholders don't, obviously, especially the apes that are in here for the squeeze, don't get the squeeze, let's say, before that happens, expect a lot of apes to eventually sell off. So he's got a lot on his plate right now, and he understands that. And that's partly why, we even talked about this in the past, why he pushed that shareholder meeting to the end of July. So something is very, some big announcement is coming in the upcoming few weeks. And I'm sure you can kind of expect the same.
Yeah, and as that's coming approach, we'll make a video specifically on what to vote for or what we are specifically voting for. But yep, so that's more good news, and then we'll get right into the technicals. But before I want to get into the technicals, and specifically, I want to make this clear that we are not financial advisors, and this is not financial advice, but this is what we personally think this week could possibly bring potential and bring some good and profits. Specifically, I've kind of dived into day and swing trading options, specifically calls. I haven't dove into any puts because, I mean, just thinking about a put on AMC just scares the shit out of me. Specifically, because I mean, if you don't, we don't need to get into specifically puts, but as we could see on the screen, we were kind of in this bull pennant, this flag, and it's kind of like a wedge, almost like, and we're consolidating at this. I mean, if you can see from last 4 weeks ago, we hit that 72 mark, and then it brought all the way down to as low as 37 or 36 at one point, and then now we're kind of in that page of from $10 to $12 price range for the last 3 weeks. We've kind of gone up and down, and we really specifically haven't broke that 61.62 specifically in those last 2 weeks. So what I've kind of, dove in and done more DD about is specifically call options. And you can make a pretty penny on call options if you judge the floor and you kind of hop in on some, closer in the money calls. And specifically, you get those $3-4 price increase days like we've kind of seen day or two after we hit those floor price points. And I mean, I could just go into specifically on last week and a couple weeks past that. I mean, on Wednesday and Tuesday, we kind of see a constant trend of hitting that 50, that ceiling of 61.62. And then on Friday, we're kind of seeing that pullback because what we've said this multiple times every single week, they don't want a lot of contracts in the money. That ultimately means a lot of more bullish momentums, more people diving and exercising their contracts to meet more shares, as well as getting more money to buy more shares or buy more contracts. But then we're like I've said, if you kind of predict it, you kind of can double dip. And what I've noticed for the last 3 weeks, and I think even Geo's, we've kind of like been anti puts, but if you've kind of double dipped and kind of done calls on the floor and hitting calling the floor, and then puts when you call the ceiling, it's almost like too obvious of money that could possibly be running in. And I've done it for the last 2 weeks, not in specifically puts, but for calls, and I've made a pretty penny. So specifically, I know I've been kind of vocal about where I've gotten in, and like I cannot pound this enough. This is just what I'm doing, and this is not financial advice. Where I'm not a financial advisor, but I just want to be vocal and tell you. And I've honestly been vocal about some of my other calls that I have lost money because, it is leverage investing, and it is the most riskiest, derivative security specifically, or the most riskiest security. And it's hard, it's easy, but hard at the same time because you can lose a lot of money and you can make a lot of money. So specifically, Gio, what specific price range are you kind of looking for? I know you've gotten into specific calls, specifically this last Friday when we saw that first that pullback and we hit that floor at 47.77. I have the Fibonacci retracement right now. I know you do have it on the screen as well. If you want to talk about specific levels that you're kind of looking for.
Yeah, so I'm looking. I know yours is a little bit different than mine because you're using Weebill's platform, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm on Thinkorswim's platform, and mine I drew this out from the high we saw back on the 3rd of June, to the low we saw I think at 37 something. And what my screen's showing me, I'm looking at the Fibonacci retracements, that we should see a push above if AMC cracks 54 tomorrow, pretty much 53.96, so roughly $54. We should see a solid push up to 57 or 58, and then that's kind of where I see a potential ceiling. So again, don't take this as financial advice, but if we do see a break, up to past 54 and a nice solid push to 57, 58, I do expect a lot of traders to be buying puts at those levels, and riding it back down to, let's say, the 55, 56 range, and then doing the same thing, just because AMC's kind of been trading in this window for quite some time now. But if it does break that 58 level, so right now we do have the second break would be 58.40. So if it breaks that, the next push would be up to 62.82. If it's able to break 62.82, AMC is going right to 70. So that's that main key level that we do need to break. So roughly $62, $63 a share. And there's a chance we might see it this or next week. Absolutely. I'll
Yeah,
say that.
yeah, I like you that you added that, Geo, because it is. I mean, like we were saying, it is kind of risky. We could, sell the contract. We could sell our contracts early, and if we do see a big 3-4 price increase right away, I know specifically me, I might kind of get out, but at the same time, I'm risking that possible missing that gap up, and that's why I'm ultimately still holding my long-term shares while I'm also trading these options. Is because if I do miss that gap up, no matter what, I will have shares. But specifically, I'm just trying to make some type of money while I'm waiting, because I've kind of been vocal about like trying to dive into these other stocks that are kind of seeing some big gaps and also short squeeze signals, but I just don't want to move my money out of AMC right now. Specifically, I have a couple on my watch list right now, just watching the price, see if I want to get into this, but. I see it as a money machine, and specifically on a weekly basis. I know a couple people have been following the page and have kind of used it as kind of resourceful, but everybody with their own DD. We don't tell you to buy, we don't tell you to sell. This is not financial advice. I can't pound that enough, but this is what we're going to be doing all week. I know Geo specifically have you if you want to be vocal about specific any year contracts that you're in and what price most that you're mostly waiting.
Yeah, so I've got contracts spread out for not just this week or next week, but for months ahead. But my main contracts are for September, that are well in the money. Those are for 40s. But for the upcoming weeks, I got contracts at $54 and $50 strikes, $55 strikes, that I actually plan to execute at some point this week. I'm not going to ride them to expiration, just because of what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. So, like you said before, second you see that $3-4 gap up above that strike price, I'm probably gonna exercise those calls.
Yeah, and I've been on the back end where I've kind of hold it, and I can't pound this enough. I've lost a lot of money from doing that, and because that consolidating phase, it doesn't ultimately help us for like making the most profits. We want fast increase, a lot of volume, really quick. So that's what I've kind of done my own DD and looking specifically Delta. That's kind of been a big indicator on what kind of ranging my profitability, because I do my contracts more like close to the market value. So theta really doesn't play a really big indicator because I sell them really quick. So that's one kind of thing of how I've managed my risk specifically. And I've gotten calls at 52 when I've kind of got in at like that 48, 49 floor mark for this week. So yeah, I'm on the same page, Gio. I'm definitely going to execute my contracts this week. And hopefully if you are watching this video, you do your DD and you do your own research, and maybe you did get into some contracts on that Friday when we did sell that floor, or you're getting in possibly Monday. Please, please, please remember that it is in your own risk, and do have a game plan. Just like me and Gio, we have a sculpted game plan for this. That's all that. I mean, that's possibly financial advice that I would possibly give. It's just having a game plan. Have your own game plan. Know when you're gonna buy. Know when you're gonna sell. Know when to get out. When to not get out. I mean, don't take all this with a grain of salt. Do your own DD. I can't pound that enough. But yeah, just to end the
Nick,
video. Oh yeah.
One more thing I mentioned. I just want to make this clear. We're not advising you to dump your shares if you got shares of
Oh no.
stuff.
No.
Because if you do that and you go all in on call options and you don't get your contracts in the money, you're going to lose everything.
Exactly.
So you're not only going to use the capital, but you're not going to have any more shares left. But at the end of the day, these hedge funds, all these short positions, when they have to go in and cover, they're not going to be buying contracts. They're going to be buying shares back. Mm-hmm. So your safest bet truly is having shares, and not contracts. But if you're right and you time the next spike right, you can make a lot more money with call options. So that's kind of why we're dabbling with both right now.
Yes, exactly. And I thank you. That literally, if you can take anything out of that video, please highlight Gio's last part, what he just said, because yes, I am diving into some calls and I am trying to make some money while we do and are in this phase. But I'm still very, very bullish long term and holding for that squeeze. I have a lot of shares that I am still holding. Haven't sold a single share yet. And I don't plan on doing it, like I've said, until the end, until they cover every single share. and we will only know that from price and volume. And I still haven't seen it, and I still haven't. And even with the Ortex data, I know it's not that that much of a reliability, but I still not as enough shares returned out in loan that I even think that the squeeze could possibly be done. When you agree, Gio?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick, what's your prediction on the price for the week?
So what I'm predicting is this first day we're going to see that big gap up $3-4, maybe with 54, 55. But I think we are going to hit, because last week we only saw a ceiling of, I think specifically 60, 61. I think we might see a ceiling of like 64, 65 that we saw 3 weeks ago. And I think that we possibly won't break it this week. I mean, as you can kind of see, if like we're in that wedge, if we do break that 61, 62 level and we do break up to 64, I think we possibly could see 70. But I'm not too optimistic on that being this week.
Sure, I agree with you. I just think if we could break that if we could cleanly break, let's say 58, 50,
Yeah.
with a 1 hour candle, there's no reason we don't see low 60s again. And then if we do see that 63, $64 price range again and break that for another hour, I think we're going right to 70, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And I just want to end. I want to wrap up the video with that technical analysis, and mostly just I can't pound it enough. We're not financial advisors. This is not financial advice, but this is just our predictive what we think that it's possibly going to be for this week. We're very optimistic. We see it as a money opportunity, and and it's been this trend for the last couple weeks. Gio, anything else that you want to end the video on?
Keep keep an eye on Adam Aaron and then even Ryan Cohen for those of you in GameStop. There's a big announcement coming in the next 2 weeks, so expect the same, not just from Ryan Cohen, but also from Adam Aaron. So I mean, we need to talk about the logo change, but GameStop changed their logo from red to gray.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into more videos this week, especially if we see that big gap up, as we called. I definitely want to give a follow-up video on like Wednesday on possibly what our ideas on, and then also more fundamental news, external news that we are getting more about AMC and GME.
Just if like I said before, like if this fight goes, is very successful for AMC, don't be surprised if they got the finals on there too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and what that ultimately means, very, very good news for AMC externally. So price, we should see very upside potential.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody tuning into Nick on the Mic, and thank you, Gio, for joining me today. If you do have a chance, possibly like, comment, subscribe. What's your possible ideas? If you do have any option contracts, throw it in the comments below what your strike prices are looking at this week. And thank you, Gio, so much for joining me.
Of course.
Yep. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.